Sad cat with a flippy tail. Oh, yeah, you're very cute. I'll give you what you want later, cat. Hello and welcome, everybody. We have an angry cat. Disappointed, maybe. That's correct. Alright, well, welcome to this live stream, or the recording. Probably the recording. Today, let's go ahead and go over what we've done with our content manager's homepage. Excuse me for a second, I'm going to mute this so I can adjust. Alright, there we go. Now you don't have to hear me breathing and sniffing into the microphone, hopefully. Alright, so let's go ahead and review what we've done with the pages on the example subsite, and then I want to we haven't gone over all the different kind of content elements you can add. We haven't really even gone into many of the advanced elements that require any coding, but I haven't been complete in showing you all of the materials available. Hello, kitty. So if she was a lap cat, she could come here and be visible. Everybody would love that. Alright, so let's take a quick look at our page, right? We've got our home page here. Remember, this is a tier 2 whenever we make a home page, and that means that at the top we usually have a big banner image, whereas with content pages we tend to have what's called a breadcrumb that lets us go back to the home page without having to hit the back button. Also remember, if your page isn't live, you're going to get that kind of weird broken view. So right up top, breadcrumb on a regular page. Up top on a home page, we get what's called a hero image in this case, or like a banner image. Alright, so we have our main content section down here, right? And that means we've got our grid layout container. Sounds a little loud for me. So we have a grid layout container. By default, it's going to use what we call right sidebar layout. You can change that to whatever you want. Really, right sidebar is what you're going to need most of the time. Within that, we have a text block on the main left-hand section. This right-hand side, remember, it will, on mobile, go below. So we need we can have important information there, but we can't rely on this being immediately visible because it won't be, especially if someone's on mobile. Let's see if we can't make a kitty fetus. All right, cat, come here. Okay. On the right hand side, we've got a flex box. This is a promo element. It has to be in a flex grid container because there's special rules for how this works. Speaking of flex boxes, right below that we have this flex grid that contains 3 promos for 3 pages that we created. Now you'll notice that I've not mentioned one large obvious element on the page. That's over here on the left hand side, this navigation bar. This is something that can actually only be changed by webmasters. So if you want to change where those links go, if you want to remove some, if you want to add some, you'll have to reach out to me to change that. There's also another element here, this contact us. You'll see that we do have a gearbox here, and we can try to edit or put new data, but you see it says edit filter right there. It's not saying edit data, edit filter. That's because, like the Meet the Staff, this pulls from a database. You aren't actually adding this information in there. I'm going to show you the tool where you can go to change that. But please be aware that it's finicky. It's an old system that we've kind of kept sort of up to date with our current trends and the way that we work with things, but it's still a bit of a square peg to round hole. Alright, well, we continue on our tour. Let's go check out the Meet the Staff page. Now remember, staff directories, staff listings, it's actually called a profile element, but whenever you want to show staff, it's from a database as well. So whenever we look at this, we have a select data, and you can see that we're not typing in the information, right? And I'm typing in maybe my first name or my last name, but besides that, we're not actually filling in the info or updating it. Also be aware that this little logical operator here, computers are very powerful, but they can't extrapolate, right? They are very powerful at making very specific mistakes. So if you want to like just search for part of somebody's name here, just do contains, right? So my long, goofy last name can be shortened here, and I can find myself. Hey, SOC College, yes, indeed. All right, let's check out our FAQ page. This uses an element that's pretty handy called the collapsible. But remember, with collapsibles, we don't want to have to force our users to do any extra work. And I get that this is just a click, but even just a click can be too much for people to actually engage with the content. Now, I just said, let's not have a click, and yet here I'm including a click. Part of this is nice because we are used to our mobile phones and social media that has infinite scrolling. So long pages, again, aren't as spooky as they once were. Don't be afraid to use a long page. That being said, we still want to provide quality of life elements for the user. So here we have what's called an anchor link that you click and it drops down to an anchor that we've put here in the code. Again, for quality of life, I've then added a back to top link that sends us back to the top, and we can see our little table of contents. FAQs, especially in this day and age, in this moment, we are using them quite a lot. Feel free to use either of these methods. Please do be aware, though, that it can be difficult to update large text block elements. So it can be very useful to maybe divide your FAQ up, maybe do just the questions in a text block and then put answers. Each in a separate text block is probably overkill. Really depends on the information that you're having to share. I would say if you're getting past 4 paragraphs in a single text block, maybe start thinking about adding a new one so that way you can avoid any errors. If you make a big change to that entire text block and the server doesn't accept the change and it crashes and you have to redo it, that's really painful to have to do. And on to our final page, the actual content page. Again, we like to use the grid layout with the right sidebar because the human eye generally only tracks about 80 characters in a single line before the eye gets fatigued. So that's why we try not to have text go across the whole screen. And also remember, not every page is created equal, right? What you might try to line up perfectly on your page does not always work on every other page. Let's take a look. So on my monitor, I think it's 1920 by 1080. Here we go. And let me pop this guy back in. So, yep, you can see with my width here, it's showing in the top right corner. So as we start to make it smaller, you're going to see how stuff gets squished over, right? And the text is going to try to automatically wrap. Once we get to, let's look at it. Yep, once we get under 1200 pixels wide, it looks like that is the breakpoint for whenever this right sidebar element is going to stack underneath. Now I can see it kind of gets funky here. Normally this looks like just a row of 3 and 3 and 3 with these flex elements. Oh, that's goofy. What is that? That is a new thing I've never discovered. We're discovering things today. Alright, let's try that again. Okay, so apologies if you hear the pitter-patter of cats chasing each other and fighting. So whenever we get that breakpoint, you're going to see that it starts to try to reorder it, and not too many people are just going to have like a 1200 by 937. We have resolutions that your computer is going to try to match, but you can see how it automatically moves on its own, right? And then right about here, we're getting into phone size, so you can see the computer really struggling to figure out what I want. So let me go and just hit this phone view right here. And remember, on Chrome, you hit F12 and it gives you this developer panel is what it's called. You can look at all the code if you want, but mostly we want it so we can test out the mobile view here. See, we got an iPhone X, great. We've got it vertical. We can look at it horizontal. So we got like the little, what we call a hamburger menu. And so it's useful. Unfortunately, it's difficult to test that whenever you're actually working on a page. If we do this here, you can see that it doesn't really work in the CMS. It sort of gives you an idea, but it doesn't order things properly because we haven't optimized the what the CMS, the content management system, to work on mobile. It's not supposed to, so there aren't really any rules. Whereas with the live web page, there is custom code in the style sheet that says, hey, if you're on mobile, okay, let's start to reorder all of these elements and materials. So after you publish, take a look, try to check it out, make sure it looks exactly how you want it to. Well, actually, not exactly how you want it to. What's acceptable? We're going to have to work with intolerances here. Okay, so that's our 3 web pages. Let's take a look at how we can do things with the left-hand side. Like I said, you actually won't be able to edit the navigation bar, but I think it's still helpful to show you so you understand how it works. So there are 2 rocks within our naming convention. We have index, and that is always going to be a home page. I don't know why, actually. I don't know the history of that, but for all web pages, index indicates the home page. We also have called that left nav bar nav on pretty much everything. So again, if you hover over something in this find, you can click the arrow in a box, and that will take you to the page in a new tab, so you can really double check and make sure it is what you want. All right, so our left nav bar, you can see that it's got different navigation elements, and they have a little link bar underneath if it's one of those drop downs. So you can click that and see, hey. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at this for students. Whenever you click on the nav bar, you can give it its actual text in the header. And then sub-navigation is just a simple Boolean, yes, no, for if you want to have sub-navigation. If you have sub-navigation, please don't add a comment spot URL. Because if they click on that to expand it, it will then take them to a new page, and it defeats the purpose of your drop-down. You'll see with just a single one here. Okay, this goes to the memos page. Is it sub-navigation? No. You'll notice it has a separate field here for external URLs. Normally, whenever we're selecting it, right, you would select unregistered. That's not available here because this is an older template for the navigation page. So taking a look at this, not too difficult, right? Similar to how we link everything else. Think about how somebody who is completely ignorant of our structure, our organization, or higher education in general might have to navigate this page, right? So a lot of folks aren't going to understand, the difference between what student engagement or student involvement might look like. They don't really appreciate that. We call them residence halls and not dorms and stuff. And so don't try to get too specific on this left-hand nav bar. Really, it's a good way to filter through, get people where they need to go. A lot of offices, and it's understandable, I get why, want to just add every link there, right? Let's make it all available. I want to give every option because I want to trust my user to be able to get where they want to go. Unfortunately, we need to think about creating this as more of an experience. You are putting on a show here, and you need to direct the user through where they need to go. Don't add everything is really the long and short of it. It gets too cluttered, and don't try to get too specific because a lot of times our population doesn't know and probably doesn't even care for those specifics. They just need to get their information, find what they want, and go. So navbar, I have to make those changes for you. Please be deliberate in how you think about those changes, but don't put everything there. All right. Also, most of our traffic comes through Google. So the content on your page is going to, so headers, for instance, play a big role in your Google search results in the search engine optimization, SEO. So make sure you have headers that are useful. Also, making sure that the page is accessible. We get a higher score based on the accessibility rating that Google, it's little bots behind the scenes run on our page. Okay. So, one more thing. The CPTools page. So you have to, I believe you have to. Yep. You can only access this through the common spot. So you'll need to be on the VPN and logged in order to view this page. But the address is just cms.american.edu/CPTools, right up here. So this is a page that is basically tools for content publishers. Excuse me, folks. Need more coffee. All right. So they got some good guides, some best practices in this accessibility page. I would highly recommend people take a look at it. I'll probably spam it out to folks. Analytics and search engine optimization. Some good guides on that. Yep. Well, this might not actually be a useful page. So let me actually go through what I know about this page and what I actually use. Whenever I'm using this page, there are examples that are useful at the very start. Whenever you're first learning about the page, you can see some of it. The funny thing about this is I don't use most of this stuff. Text block, tabbed container, hero image with text. Remember our big banner image? It's there. Hey, look at that. And this gives some examples. It specifies some stuff. The page examples, spotlights are something that I've encountered more recently. Folks want to really be able to highlight testimonials, stories, especially with us all being virtual now. We need to be able to tell better stories online. That can be a useful way to do it. Yep, right here. So you can see like, hey, and it has a picture of somebody, shows some text. I'm gonna urge some caution when thinking about this. The website is a great space to tell an official story, to give testimonials. Please be aware, and you might want to set timers basically, or a reminder for yourself. We tend to leave a lot of old content, right? So I guess it'd be fine if we had a testimonial on a page for a program left over from 2016. That was whenever we did all the new layout redesign. You might not want that on the page. We especially don't want to necessarily be promoting upcoming events and stuff on the web page, because it can be difficult to actually keep up with maintaining current day with it. We put up events, it's like, oh yeah, this is coming up, and then we're all very busy, we move on to the next thing and forget to take it down from the website. And you can't necessarily schedule a single element to go deactivated. And even then, you have to submit it for change, and then you have to publish the approval. So I would say if you got events or time-specific stuff, please consider not putting it on the website. Testimonials, though, sure, let's use this. Tabbed containers, I'm going to show you on another page. But like I said, you can see examples of elements here. Especially if you're new, this can be a useful page. The other super useful thing, though, is going to be the user interface kit down at the bottom here. This is examples of how we can style all different kinds of elements on the web page. We got these lists with fancy button numbers here, lists and columns rather than just straight down. They call this a tabular list. I guess the idea is that these are two different tabs, different widths for it, all kinds of stuff. Fancy buttons here with different colors. You can do button groups, pagination, all kinds of crazy stuff. The alert boxes have been very popular since we've all had to go into quarantine. We can customize tables. Yep, and I think that's really the fanciest of it all. And then we got some of these little social media links that can go on the left-hand navigation. Now, you might be saying, this is cool, great. I want to access all these fancy buttons. Where is it, right? I want to add this alert box to be like, hey, be aware we're not here. So this is all. If you hit F12 again, then you can actually take a look at the code here, right? I'm like, wait, what? So you got actually two ways to do it. You can hit F12, and then you'll have this cursor over a box, and then you can click on it. You can see, oh, hey, right? This line of code. All right, so it's just a P. Remember, that's paragraph. If we look in this P, it's just the, oh, snap, right? And strong here is for the bold. but we don't want the P, right? There's nothing special about that P tag. What we have is the div, which stands for like division. If you have boxes on a website, it's probably a div. And it's got this role, alert, class, alert, space, alert dash danger, space, single. If we take a look at this, we don't need that UL is unordered list, but we see a similar thing. Alert, alert danger. It's not a single one. It takes multiple things, and you have a list, right? LI is for list element. Great. So that's how you want to access that. Hit F12, cursor in a box, click on an element, and you can see the code. If you're not comfortable with code, I recommend not being here. But you can take a look through this UI kit and be like, ooh, this is cool. Hey, Cole, can we do this? So let's take a look at that again. You're on cms.american.edu/CPTools. Open up examples here. Scroll to the bottom, and you got user interface kit, UI kit. You can see this will hop you around the page. Great. So what else can we do with the CPTools? Well, we got two other things. Well, really just one. All right, under utilities, Office Administrator. This, you shouldn't really mess with it. I'm just showing it to you so you can see where our left-hand nav information comes from, right? So Office of Campus Life, we got two contact us. We got the Campus Life at American and the AU parent. Different phone numbers too. So what have we got here? All right, we got Academic Support and Access Center. Funnily enough, no longer under OCL. AVP of Campus Life. Oh, that might be what we want. All right, we got CSS, CDI, Student Involvement, Counseling Center, another CDI, Eagle Bucks. So we got some older stuff on here too. Let's see. I believe it's this one. All right, so this might not be it then. Basically, the way that this works is you assign it to, behind the scenes, IT has plugged in this organization chart, which is not at all accurate of how AU is actually organized. And they have to link it up to the actual CMS for like OCL here, right? So, like, okay, they'll be like, all right, we got to go in here, Office of Campus Life here. Okay, great. That will point to the /OCL subsite. And so whenever you make a change, it's going to uncheck that. So be sure to check it again. And then you can submit the change if like your department hours change, or if your phone number changes, or if you have a different contact email. So that's how this stuff updates. It's not just, don't just go in here and try to fiddle with the text, because it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So if you need to update it, it's through this Office Administrator. It tends to be a little frustrating to actually update because it unchecks things that, like I said, the Office organization chart doesn't actually match AU's actual organization chart. So another one of those things where I would recommend you just email me. So, all right. So we got CPTools. We got the UI kit. We have the utilities Office Administrator. All right. CMS redirects. We can do this. Don't do it through here, though. What you actually want to do is, let's go to a page. If a page, we've been having this a couple times now, right? People have pages that describe how we normally operate in the fall, but we're not going to be operating quite as normal. We need to have new pages with new information. But we want to hold on to that page because, well, we might come back to it. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not correct in this moment. If you need to have people click on a link, let's say it goes to this example content page, and I want it to go to a different page. You can expire that link under here. So we go to properties up here, standard, and right here, expiration date. You click on the calendar. That day's looks good. It's 10/26. We'll set this for 10/30. All right, once we click out of that, you see, hey, now we can do some actions. deny access, or we could redirect. Let us send this to, this might be an old page. Yep, that is. I should tell by 2017. Let's go to the webinar archive, right? We'll hit save. So this page is not live or active, so it wasn't really going to work at all. But let's check back in about 3 minutes and see where that link will take us. Whenever we click it from the home page here. But while we're here, let's go and do a little bit of work. All right, so we've got a long page here. It's got a lot of information. Nothing too terribly wrong with that, but might be useful to have that anchor link with table of contents that we can jump through. We already have an example of that, but let's go just add that real quick. Text block. This will also be an example of how we can move elements. I know I've shown it before, but we'll try it again. So down here, what do we got? Hold on. I've got video accessibility, I've got document accessibility, and I've got web accessibility. I've got little subsections in each. Maybe I'll add that later, but we'll just start with that. So web accessibility, and video accessibility. Okay, great. So remember how we do this? We turn these into a link ourselves. Do href equals hashtag #, whatever you prefer. We should call it web, honestly. We'll do it for that. Oh, and we can't forget to end our anchor tag /a. Becoming web designers now. All right, a space href equals hashtag doc. Got an extra quote there, and we will end our a tag. Remember, the a tag is what we use for links. The href is the destination. Whenever we do the hashtag name, we're basically saying, hey, look on this document, meaning this web page, for an ID. That's what the hashtag is indicating. That matches the text after it. And we'll do video for this, if I can spell correct. Great. So we have web, doc, video. Hey, and they look like links. We'll go and hit save. Cool, but we don't want it down here, right? You know what we actually could have added that to? We already have an existing one. But, ready? Let's say we wanted to have this separate. It's inefficient, but let's do it. We want to move this all the way to the top. Well, just click move to the top, right? Look how easy that is. Let's see if it plays nice. Hey, looky there. All right, so we actually want this to go underneath here. It really could have gone into that text block, but we could just play a little bit of musical chairs there. And there we go. All right, that's all well and good, but it doesn't do anything, right? Okay, let's actually code in some functionality. All right, so you may think, I want my ID to be that title. And I would agree with you. That'd be a good idea. Unfortunately, we can't do that because we can't edit the code of the title. So we hit source in this content area. We can see all the code. And with this first paragraph, we're just going to be ID equals web, right? We'll hit save. And then we'll go back to it. Wait for the page to reload. There it goes. Hey, it jumps down. All right, let's add what we got, doc and video. Do it here. Now this might be kind of funny because since the image is full width, you can see down here, I'm pointing at the screen like you are in my room right now. Because that's so wide, it may actually go a bit lower than the title. We'll see how that works. Do doc, save. So, remember how I said we just have to be patient with the website? Sometimes it takes a while. You'll have that screen that says, please wait, please wait, please wait, and it just keeps turning and turning. And I say wait until you get an error page before you hit refresh, right? F5 or this little refresh button. Sometimes you get this. And it's just whiter, I guess is the way to say it. Basically everything disappears and you'll get this return to last common spot. Give that a try, see if that'll work. Hey, it did. Okay, cool. Sometimes that doesn't work. All right, so let's see, did it work? Did it actually keep the... It does, right? So you can even see, right? We're in our F12, our view, and you can see we got that hashtag doc after that paragraph right there. That's the ID of that paragraph. All right, so let's give it a test. Hey, and you can see it does jump us down beyond that title. We can make that image smaller, but you know, we like this big image, right? It's important to us, so we'll just keep it, right? Okay. And again, you're gonna have to, this is gonna be, if you get nothing else from any of these videos, this is my biggest takeaway is you can't let perfect be the enemy of good on the website. You're gonna have to just get functional with a lot of stuff and say, you know what, it's not exactly how I want it, but it is what it is. All right. And where did we add? Did we add an ID here? We did not. All right. So this, right, so we added an H2 here. We can add that. The ID can go in any one of these, right? We could, it's not beholden to anything. Video. Oh, kitty cat. My cat is not a lap cat. And so she has started actually sitting on the corner of my desk instead of clawing at the back of my chair. It's a big day. Huh. Looks like the servers may not be super happy with everything today. I'm also eating a lot of bandwidth by streaming and working through the VPN and playing music. I should probably just download a playlist and play it instead of live streaming it. Okay, so if we get this again, let's hit return to last common spot page. Oh, and I think I know why this page is having so much trouble. It's after 10:30. That means that our expired link should try to redirect. So let's hit this page. Reload. We'll click on the link. Excuse me. And whenever you click on a link to go visit a page, in the comment spot, at least it's going to give you an option to be like, do you want to go to the new destination page? Which remember, we expired our content page and we said, hey, you now need to redirect to the OCL webinar archive. So let's test that theory out. We click on this. We let it think. And it should, in theory, have a message that pops up. Look, page expired at this time and is now unavailable to administrators. Hey, that's us. All other users will go to that. We can hit OK to view that destination page, the OCL webinar archive, or cancel to view the expired page, which is the content page. We hit OK. Redirects might not work too great in the actual CMS. Hey, there we go. It did figure it out. So that's how redirects work. That's probably why every time we're making a change, the CMS is like, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to go somewhere else? So let's go ahead and undo that, right? So we expired our page by going to properties, standard, and hey, look, we got this. Let's just hit clear and save. That's probably what was giving us our trouble every time we're updating. Also, IT is going to be, if they look at the logs for our activity, they're going to be very confused about what's going on. And again, the reason why I'm so patiently waiting is in the bottom left, you can see that waiting for CMS indicates you should wait. All right. So I know that wasn't a long wait, but you might be like, cool, what should I do while I'm waiting for this to load? Well, you could check email, other such productive things, but you know, sometimes it's good to like have a task and you just want something a little mindless to do. May I suggest MagicaVoxel? It's a tool basically where you can create 3D models of stuff. And right here, I'm trying to make a little model of the Anderson residence halls. See, I'm working my little bed frame there. So now, find something that can help keep you sane, nice and calm. All right, so we have our anchor links. We can go down. We should probably add it back to top. I'm not too worried about that. All right, so cool. This is text. We got some pictures. We got some fancy anchor links. Like, all right, I'm not impressed. Show me something new. Show me something better. All right. Let's see what we got here. Remember, everything that you should be messing with, for the most part, I'm going to say every time I say always, all, everything, put a little asterisk. There's always an exception, right? For the most part, you should be using something that says AU 2016 first. If it says OIT only, asterisk there as well, but maybe for the most part, listen to it. Right, so 2016 redesign. This is where most of the elements that we're going to use are. There's the alert error message. I don't use that. I think that might be new. I wonder if that does the encoding for the division. Remember our little alerts here under the UI kit, the user interface kit. Let's take a look. Our poor little expired page is still struggling, even though it is no longer expired. Well, return to last common spot. I'm going to refresh this page as well. Hopefully we can avoid having to do that every time. But down here, it did add the element. All right, quick refresh, reset, woosah, recenter. Let's check out this alert message. Oh, it is. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Well, I guess you don't have to code anymore. So IT's adding things all the time, so we can all explore together. So, hello, I am in information box, and it should be this guy, the I for info. Hey, there it is. I'll offer one other bit of caution with this. We're all getting very used to alerts, little headers now on web pages. This should be short, succinct, something that they'll actually be willing to process. I know we have so much information to give and so much information that has changed due to quarantine and COVID, but don't try to cover all the bases just to cover them. We want information on the web page to actually be actionable. And if we gotta drop a little bit of context in order to actually get the engagement, I would argue it's worth it. We can keep adding the context, but we need to have more bite-sized pieces. I feel like we have a lot of information and it can be difficult enough to use the web system, so we just get it up there. I understand that. I appreciate that there's a lot of work that has to be done. But if you have the time and you're able to, please try to refactor how you're thinking about the information, because it's not just about an info dump. We really need to make sure that people can parse what we're providing. Also, we're all getting very good at tuning these out. Okay, so that's an alert box. Hey, learning something new every day. Let's go and look at tabbed containers though, because if you got a lot of information, or if you need to kind of help sort people based on the population you're trying to reach, this can be very useful. I've seen this used particularly well by K for the different religious groups. It lists their chaplains under each tab, and this helps divide it. I've also seen orientation use it to good effect, because we have very different populations with very different questions around orientation time. So we'll just say, I didn't plan any information for this tab. I just want to show off the element. Let's say just tab 1, tab 2, and we'll do required. Remember, that little red asterisk means it's required. Tab 3, optional. Tab 4, optional. We're going to do all 5. Tab 5, optional. If you need more than 5 tabs, rethink your information. We patiently wait. There it is. All right. Works similar to other containers. Now you can actually add text in here. We can even add other containers in the tabbed container. then we say add the grid layout container. Maybe not the flex grid. We'll test it out. I don't know if the flex grid will work so well. All right, we will save our grid layout container with the right sidebar. And then we'll add a text block. Well, we're going to see how this works. I'm going to actually activate this page for a hot second, and then we will deactivate it so we can actually view it in the mobile view, because that's where I think this will break down. Also, in mobile view, I believe these tabs stack. We'll see how that looks later. Up to you whether or not you want to do that then. All right, text block. Trying very hard not to sneeze in the mic. Looking out for you, friends. No sneezing in mic. Great. We'll save that. Then let's add a flex element in that right sidebar. Remember, we got to give it some special sauce. And then maybe we'll add just a whole flex grid. Oh, we'll just add one in tab 2. Let the other tabs have some love. All right. Remember, if we're going to add a flex element, so flex module here, we don't just add it into a grid container. We have to give it a flex container. So I understand this is a bit tedious, but it is what it is. All right, we define it. Let's just have one box here. Hit save. What time is it? It is 43. Yeah, we should have plenty of time. We're good. We got this. All right, so you see how it's a little squished? Remember, whenever we add a flex container to the right sidebar, we need to actually set it to have that layout. So if we click on the element, not only can we edit data there, we can choose layouts for pretty much every element. So we got like our text block here. Most don't have a different kind of layout, but the flex grid container does have one specifically for the right sidebar. Lucky for you, it says flex grid for right sidebar. Let's see, do we have a... We don't have an element up there that I can just copy. All right, down we go. We're just going to do a flex module text promo, so we don't have to mess with a image. We patiently wait for this to upload. One other thing, and I suspect those of you who have actually watched some of this will understand, whenever you are mocking this up, there's a temptation to do it on Word first or something like that, and that can help you plan and have access to it anywhere. But don't try to get too picky with the layouts, because Word doesn't match what this can do. Great. And so people tend to kind of back themselves into a corner with that. They like make a design they really like in Word, and then they're committed to it, and then they can't just kill that design and move on. Ooh, all right. So we got two problems here, right? That's over, and this is right up against the edge. So let's leave preview. This one, yeah. Nope, cancel. Where is, there we go, text block. Do both. And that should squeeze it in. Let's see. Hey! And you see we got nothing in these. And again, don't trust everything you see. Right, so it looks like that, and it might look like this on my screen, but on somebody else's screen it might look different, and we all know it's going to look very different on mobile. I don't think there's anything here. Padding, let's try none. Let's see if that works a bit better for our flex element on the right. Nope. Okie dokie. All right, let's go ahead and submit and activate. All right, so I'm going to hit submit. Normally, whenever you submit, it will then go to me. I will approve, and then it will go live. I'm generally checking throughout the day, but if you do have an immediate, it's got to go up, it's got to be live in this second, email me, Teams me, Skype me. Well, don't Skype. Email me, Teams chat me, and we'll be sure to get it up and live. Again, got to be patient. Let it do its thing. I have found, I haven't fully tested this scientifically, but if you stay on that tab, it tends to work fine. You can open up a different window, and I don't think it seems to make it go any longer. But this is, again, why it can be important to make sure that you got something else to do, right? So, let's go and, we'll just make our little, what do we got? We got to do a box, attach, boom. Nope. There we go. Perspective is a crazy thing, huh? And we'll do these because what we'll do is we'll extrude the face. And then pull that face out as well. Oh, no, we don't want that actually. There we go. Hey. Two, three. Great, yeah. Shoot, perspective. Great, look at that. See, so it's always good to have something else that you can do. Hey, all right, now this should be live. Let me just go make sure that the activate button isn't still there. But in the meantime, so whenever I try to share the live version of a link, instead of trying to navigate to it, I tend to cut out that middle stuff. So everything from comment spot up to the OCL part. And replace the CMS with dub. Here it is. Here's our page. And I've got a little plugin called Site Improve. They make a Chrome plugin, and it's a way that you can check. I think I've shown it on here before. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you know accessibility stuff, but it does kind of show you like, hey, there are things being flagged. And I only have errors that are being flagged here. So these are like things that potentially need to get looked into. Color contrast is something that we can't really do anything about. That's kind of hard coded in by IT and company. Yeah, and a lot of this stuff looks like it's actually behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, the iframe. Yeah. So this page is actually pretty accessible. One thing I will say that I know is not are these headers. Well, those aren't actual headers, so actually it's fine. Okay, so live page, we can actually take a look at it, right? Remember, we can look at this in a mobile view by hitting F12, right, and hit this mobile button. All right, so this does this a lot of times. Give it a second, right? It'll put that contact page up there. Sometimes, Chrome has to figure it all out. All right, there's our info box. This is actually the left-hand navigation bar is up here. See, hey, okay, there's all this, and we can expand that. All right, so we got our web accessibility. We click, hey, it jumps down. Let's go back up. Let's go down to video accessibility. Cool, there it is. We got all kinds of links here. Looks great so far, right? Let's take a look at our big image. Goes across. Fantastic. So this is how the tabs stack. And it's not super fabuloso. Hey, this actually works out pretty all right. So yeah, science done today. You can put flex elements into a tabbed container, as far as I can tell. Remember our asterisks, our asterisks. I'm sure there's some reason why that would not work. There's often a lot of things that on the surface seem fine, but may not be. But for now, we will say you can put flex elements in a tabbed container. Okay, so we don't want this page to actually be live. Since it's live, this means that Google's bots are kind of crawling through this page, starting to find it, starting to add tags to it, and add it to Google search results. We don't want that, right? So you can go to work on this page, all changes, And you see we don't have a submit because we don't have any changes, and we don't have an activate button there because it's already activated. So where's the deactivate button? I hear you ask. Well, under manage here, under actions, you see we got a lot of things. We can copy a page. If you need to make a new page that's going to match the layout of this, and all you need to do is change the text, useful. Move page, you shouldn't have to do that often. Talk to me first. Rename page, same thing. Delete page, feel free to do it, but we're going to come back to something. You got to make sure you track down all the links to that page. Otherwise, people are going to get a dead page, and it's going to be very frustrating for them. Aha. Deactivate page. That's what we want. You got lock unlock. That's really for me if I want to stop you from changing stuff. I've never had to use it. Change owner, that's more for troubleshooting. Sometimes ownership of a page, you may have noticed that it'll say so-and-so. If you have multiple people in an office working on a page, it'll be so-and-so is currently on this page. Would you like to take over? Every time, so I'm working on this page, right? I have the gears, I'm in it. I'm the current owner of it. If I were to leave this page and say Karen came in and worked on this page, then she would be the owner of it. And so sometimes it gets stuck, and changing the owner is a way to kind of hard remove somebody from it. Pretty much none of these other things are useful. The only thing that might be good is the send review via email. This is going to send an HTML file that people can then click on, and it should open up in their preferred browser. They must be on they must be on the campus network, so they need to be VPN connected to the network if they want to view it. Otherwise, it will not have the styling, and everything will be gobbledygook. So you can use this for review, so you don't have to push this live. But right, let's take this off. Deactivate page. Yes. Et voila. See, and then we have activate up there. Let's take a look, right? We had this page live. Oh. I left it. Ready? So I'm trying to go to the live version again. And I can show you. Inactive content. So people get this page. If you've deactivated a page, you can then contact the page owner and it'll send an email. Since this is OCL, it's going to go to me. I think all OCL subsites, actually, I get that message since I'm the webmaster. So if you're going to deactivate a page or delete it, under links here, right, referring pages is going to hopefully tell us all AU pages that are referring to it. Now, if we have a link just on a page, it's going to say, hey, this page is referencing it, right? So let's say, I'm going back to the home page. I'm going to add a link just in plain text to it, right? So I can do edit. Here is a link to our contents page. All right, I'm going to add a link, search from current subsite. I'm going to sort by date because I've accessed this pretty recently. So I got example content page. Insert link. All right, got our link there and hit save. All right, so easy change. It's right there. Let me refresh this page so I can update the information. Go back to links and referring pages. Grumble. Might take it a couple minutes for the server to realize this, but we do have a flex promo. There might be some way where we can actually track down the destination of it. You can edit that link directly, but it's not necessarily telling us what page it's on. In theory, it should eventually tell us, oh, also you have a link on the home page, and then we can go and change it. So we can say, oh, hey, and we can change that element. This only works if it's on a subsite you manage. So we have had links that are on the Provost page. I can't change that. Pardon me, folks. So if you do have a page you want to deactivate or delete, you click links, referring pages, and the subsite here would be /provost. contact me. I have a list of the other content manager leads, and I can reach out and say, hey, we're removing this page, please delete the link, or we are changing a page, please use this link instead. Now, if you're going to do that, honestly, I would recommend expire the page, set up a redirect at first. I'll still reach out to them to update that link because we shouldn't rely on redirects. You can imagine after a few years that it becomes a ridiculous like Russian doll situation of different, redirects and expired pages. But that is a good immediate option, and it can save us a lot of headache because everybody's busy, so we don't want to have to wait to put your new page live until all the other links are changed. So the properties, standard, expiration date, that's very helpful if you want to put a new page and send people going to the old one to the new one. All right, folks, that's kind of a bit of a meandering session, but I think we covered some stuff that isn't something you'll be using every day. Remember, we have the CPTools here. This is a useful page because it has some documentation, some best practices. It does have all the examples. Well, not everything as an example, but most of them. And we have that UI kit. That's very useful to do the actual fancy stuff. Remember, we also learned how to set up redirects. Under the properties and expiration here. And we also looked at how you can track down where a page is referenced so that way we can update that link. All right. As always, folks, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm always happy to help out. We can schedule specific one-on-one sessions to work through any of your work. And if you have any questions, just email that, ramplem@american.edu. All right. Thanks, folks.